It's so amazing to talk to you. You are such an icon and a legend in your own right. TV
Oh,
host, yeah, podcaster, prior reality star, Jack Osborne. How is it
well,
going?
it's good. Yeah, hanging in there. Don't know much about Legend though. I just feel like I'm just surviving. I'm just
Just a
trying to survive.
survivor?
I've got kids, I've got a lot of mouths to feed, so I'm like, all right, what are we doing next?
Okay, so Survivor, Jack Osborne, you've got such a busy spooky season coming up, really. I wanted to start it off with your Jack's Nights of Terror, which is coming out in October. I'm a huge fan of paranormal and Halloween, and I'm super excited. Can you share a little bit about this
Sure.
project?
So, Night of Terror, it started out as just these specials I was doing for travel, and then they decided to make a series, a small series out of it. It seems like everything that's being bought now is a small series. Um, and yeah, so it's me with kind of friends of mine and guests, and we go ghost hunting. So I took my mom on a ghost hunt, Jenny McCarthy, Jamie Kennedy, and Jason Mewes, and then my sister. So we had a riot.
This ghost hunting and paranormal activity investigating, has this always been something that's been an interest to you?
Sure. Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the paranormal, the fringe, what like the some of the world's greatest mysteries. And like when I was a kid, that's all I would read. I would read, ghost books, and I was obsessed with the X-Files. Like that was my jam. And so I think as a kid, I just always being like, oh, when you're a child brain, you're like, I want to do that when I grow up. And somehow I kind of sort of do that, which is kind of fun. But and if anything, it's not like it's something where I like obsessively like, oh, like this is my jam, like, but it's been like a consistent hobby of mine probably since I was 6 years old.
And it's really cool because I saw you had Jamie Kennedy that's going to be in it, and he's in the iconic Scream franchise. So kind of blend some worlds
Yeah,
together
oh,
there.
absolutely. And like it's funny, man, like Jamie and I, we've become like, I've known Jamie for 20 years, but in the last 2, 3 years, we've become really close. And it's crazy. Like when I kind of get talking to him, I'm like, holy shit, Jamie, you've done some like insane movies and things he's been a part of. You're like, holy shit, like the body of work he's got, and to be a part of the Scream franchise, it's I think even he kind of is like, wow, that's kind of wild, especially since it's kind of having a
Resurgence.
resurgence.
Yeah. Well, actually, Jenny McCarthy is in Scream 3 as well. She has a small role in that too. So that's super funny.
Really?
I
Huh.
just put that, yeah, I just put two and two
Oh,
together there. Yeah.
maybe we should get the whole cast together and do a little ghost hunt. That could be fun.
I think you absolutely should. One of my favorite movies, by the way. So please, I will be waiting for that.
I go to a lot of like horror convention signings, and
Oh,
so like
cool.
I'm always there with like Jamie's there, or some of the other Scream cast members, and it's been fun even seeing people walking around with T-shirts saying "Pay Nev Campbell."
Oh my gosh.
They just get there, there's a divide.
Yeah. The fans are dedicated.
They are. Yeah,
They're
and that
very
and
dedicated.
the funny thing is, it's like the horror fans and the paranormal fans that they run pretty much parallel, if not the same group, and so that's I think part of why I keep getting hired is like I have like a very loyal following in the paranormal, and it's something that I never in my wildest imagination would have ever thought but it really is it's a blessing because the paranormal fan base is not easily won over. I've seen that a lot with other celebrities, if you will, come into the space to try and do ghost hunting shows, paranormal shows. It just doesn't work because I think the fans are just they don't believe the credibility, but somehow they believe mine, even though I was just like a nerdy kid reading ghost books and UFO books.
I think it makes sense. I do. Speaking of kind of paranormal, a date that is a big date for you, Friday the 13th, which is
Yes.
when your new podcast comes out, Ghost and Grit.
Yep.
What can we expect from the podcast?
So Ghost and Grit it was so hard because I'm like, what am I going to do a podcast on? Because I have so many like weird interests, from paranormal all the way to fitness and outdoors and crazy adventures that I've done. I mean, I've I've been really lucky to have had a very adventurous life. And so we landed on Ghost and Grit. It's a real fun, very loose format environment where I have guests come on and they share stories about, their paranormal experiences, and we kind of dive into what part of them, represents the grit. And we've had everything from, UFC fighters to, Dr. Drew to Jamie Kennedy. I mean, the podcast I did with Jamie Kennedy was just epic. We were talking for like 3.5 hours. We had the tinfoil hat firmly on, and we went deep down the rabbit hole. It's just been great though. And then I do episode breakdowns with my old co-host from Portals to Hell, Katrina Weidman, and we kind of do a bit of inside baseball, talking about the investigations we've done. I
was actually just watching your podcast with Jamie to kind of get myself warmed up, and the conversation between you I find so incredibly entertaining.
We it's a thing where like Jamie and I should we be doing this more often, because we just go we go the distance, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you totally should. I have really thoroughly enjoyed it. On the podcast realm, you just brought the Osborne family podcast back. How has that been, kind of revisiting, of course, I know they're your family and I'm sure you spend time together, but getting all of you in a room together, just letting you all kind of chat, I feel like it's so magnetic. So how has it been, and what's kind of the plan there?
It's been very stressful, but also very rewarding at the same time. It's funny. Me and my dad are the only ones that really kind of binge YouTube and understand the kind of YouTube space with podcasts and, filming versus just audio. And so, originally when we did the first podcast, it was just audio only, and it did okay. But I think everyone wanted to see us. It's, we don't come from the, strictly audio space. So when we did, when I decided hey, we're going to launch this company called Osborne Media House, which we have, and do podcasts for everyone in the family, and then all of us together. Everyone just kind of looks at me and they're like, but who, how? They just don't get the, my sister and my mom had a hard time wrapping their head around the kind of create a content space. And so I was like, just don't worry about it, I'll handle it. And we've just built this small machine right now, and we just are firing all cylinders, and it's been amazing. It's been really cool, and it's exciting to shift how we're doing business and how we're working as a family, because we really do it's us. It's me and a team of 3 and my family, and so we're just, like I said, firing on all cylinders and kind of seeing what sticks and what doesn't. And so far, the stuff we've been putting out, people seem to be enjoying. It's definitely but the hardest part of it though is getting us all in the room together, because everyone's schedule is nuts.
I believe it. I watched the first episode and I really enjoyed it. Are you going to be doing podcasts together, and then also each of you are going to have your own kind of themed show that's kind of under the umbrella?
Yes. So my dad, he's recorded his, and it's called, what is it called? It is the Madhouse Chronicles.
The Madhouse Chronicles.
Madhouse Chronicles, I believe. Yeah, I think it's Madhouse Chronicles. My mom is going to do one, and then Kelly's going to do one with her best friend. So my mom's and Kelly's probably won't come out until first quarter of next year. But we're rocking and rolling. I think kind of seeing the writing on the wall with what's going on with the industry, and how ultimately when you're talent, whether you're doing a reality show, whether you're a musician, whether you're actor, whatever, you're at the behest of a network or a studio, and as we're all seeing, there's a lot of people out of work right now. There's a lot of things going on that's I think shaking up the foundation of how things have been done for so long. And I know I don't want to rely on networks to live any longer. And, I think, my mom and sister certainly do share that same sentiment, because it's great working for yourself. It sucks working for someone, I mean, there's been times where making TV shows, they've been you can say this, you can't say that. And you're like, but why? That's, I don't agree with what you're saying. And it's nice to have the complete autonomy and freedom.
Totally. And I feel like even just the way the internet has created opportunity for people who might have not had a voice, who now can. And it's really shaken
Better
up the
or worse?
media.
Or worse, because some people shouldn't have platforms. You know, it's like back in the day, you used to actually have to, you know, qualify. Now any lunatic can be like, you know.
For sure.
I do enjoy it. I do like the you know, the community. And that's the other thing too, which I think is great about, you know, the YouTuber community or any kind of social media community. It's like, for the most part, everyone's trying to lift everyone up together, and it's kind of a cool thing to see. Yeah, I mean, you get the spats and people like shit talk, but it's like, you know, since announcing the podcast, all these people are reaching out, hey, come on my podcast, come on my podcast. And it's like, cool, like that's great.
To kick it kind of back, you know, to the reality show, because it was really one of the first of its kind. I think it arguably paved the way for, I mean, some of the biggest names in reality TV. Did you ever, when you got approached the idea, think that it was going to be what it became? And how did it kind of impact your family and your career?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll answer the last question first. You know, it gave me a career in that I never thought I would have. Not in a million years as a you know, as a teenager did I ever go, oh, I'm going to work in TV one day. I didn't even know how you worked in TV. I knew that there was like movie studios, but I didn't understand about network. I didn't understand any of that stuff. So when we got approached by MTV, we just, you know, it was the first meeting we had with them was in 2001. You know, MTV was the biggest thing in the world. It was like, and it's funny, like I try and explain it to like my kids who, you know, today, and I'm like, you guys have the ability to access so much content. When I was a kid, it was just cable TV and magazines. That was it. There was no internet. There was no web shows. There was no podcast. There was, you know, it was radio, magazines, and TV and movies. That was all you were given. And it was you know, so you know, everything was funneled. And so that's when MTV would get 25 million viewers on the MTV Awards. I think now they probably struggle for 500,000 viewers on the MTV Awards. It's just not a thing anymore. So when we were kids and MTV called, I was like, oh my God, yeah, like I don't care what they want to do, let's do it. And originally they wanted Kelly and I to do like VJ stuff for them. Like that was the first call, like, hey, we're interested in Jack and Kelly doing some kind of hosting or VJ.
And you were teenagers at the time.
Yeah, I was 15 and Kelly was 16. And we met with them, and in Santa Monica, we had this meeting. And actually my eldest sister was actually at that meeting too, I believe, even though she opted out. We would just sat around and spitballing, and they were like, and it's from over the duration of the meal, it landed on, hey, let's basically do our version of the real world. And that was it. We just were like, cool. And they're like, we'll start filming when you move into the new house. I'd forgotten about the meeting because it was in mid-spring, and then we went on summer vacation, and like it just, when you're a kid, it's just like out of sight, out of mind. And then after my dad had got done touring, they were like, well, MTV's gonna go and wire the house up with cameras. And we were like, oh wait, that's like, huh? And we moved into the house, and it was only supposed to be 3 weeks of filming, and they didn't really leave for 3.5 years or something like that.
Wow. So you had no idea when you did it that it would become, I mean, look at the Kardashians now.
Yeah, and it's you know, and it's that thing where I look at it, and I'm at the time I didn't quite understand it. I wasn't mature enough to really handle it. It was a lot of, you know, it was a lot of success very quickly, very early on, and in a landscape that wasn't, there was no roadmap. Now there is. It's like you do a reality show, you know, if you get a season 2 or 3, then you get your endorsement deals, and you start hawking products, and then you come out with a line or a makeup thing or whatever, and you know, so on and so forth. And that just wasn't a thing then. So we decided to end it after I think because we did half seasons too. So I think we did 3.5 seasons, and we ended it because we just weren't. We wanted to end it on our terms, and we wanted to end it before the show started to dip in the ratings. And so we were like, cool, let's end on top. And I actually think it was the smartest move, because if the show had been canceled, or if the show became kind of contrived or shitty or whatever, people would, I think, reflect on, oh, that show ended up sucking, versus that how it ended, which is that show was great until it ended.
Have you noticed that there is kind of a resurgence of clips from the shows on TikTok?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge thing on TikTok now, which is comedic at best. I think it's funny as shit. Here's the crazy thing though. We're gonna, with Osborne Media House next year, we're gonna launch a subscription component to it. So, paid subscribers can get access to, all the content that we own, including the original Osborne series, and we're gonna do watch party episodes. So we actually, I've seen the odd episode here and there, but no one in the family has watched an entire episode since we stopped doing it 20 years ago. So it's gonna be funny and awkward and like incredibly painful.
I cannot wait for that. Do you have a favorite clip? Because there's one that stands out to me, and it's the beer thief clip. That's my personal favorite.
That's I've seen it. It's very funny. God, one clip stands out to me just because I'm a parent now, and I go, within season 1, my parents were on tour, and our nanny Melinda was having like a hard time like controlling us. So something had happened. There was something going on. And my parents basically turn around and go, well, the kids are in your care, so essentially, that's your thing. You got to figure it out. It's not our job to figure it out. You have to figure. And I'm like, who says that?
That's hilarious.
If I was out of town and my kids were acting nuts, I would not put it on the nanny to be like, it's your job to figure that problem out.
That's so funny. And you have, is it 3 or 4 girls?
I have 4.
4, that's so nice. I was actually going to ask you how you juggle being, a father and all of your other things. Like, is there a balance that you found?
Yeah, I try and, it's difficult when I'm filming the paranormal shows, just because I'm gone, but I've kind of scaled it now to where I'm only gone for like 4 days before I come home. So I'll go film an episode, come home for, even if it's for 2-3 days, and then I'll go back out, just because I don't like being away from them. It's tough, my 3 eldest kids, I split custody with their mother, so I only see them 50% of the time anyway. And so when I do have them on my time, I'm not missing any more than I should. And so I work around that schedule. And then, with Maple, our baby, I try and get home every night to where I can put her down and do that stuff. And you make it work. I'll have times where I'm really busy and I'm flat out for like weeks on end. And then I'll have times where it's like today, like I'm done at 1:30 and we're going to take Maple over to my parents' house and hang out for a bit.
I love that. I love the name Maple, by the way. I'm Canadian, so like maple syrup. Yeah. I just had to tell you that. That's really cute.
Yeah, we kind of landed on Maple, and I was like, hey, I like trees, and and it's a cute. A lot of people think we say Mabel, and I'm like, no, it's Maple. Like the tree.
No, I love it.
The syrup.
You said you kind of touched on Portals to Hell, and you did Haunted Highway as well. Is there any moments on those shows that you can share that was like really kind of spine chilling?
Sure. Yeah, God, there were times like on Portals to Hell, because here's the thing, like with Haunted Highway, I was just kind of getting into it on that level. I was like an enthusiast, and then I ended up doing Haunted Highway, and I didn't know a lot of the kind of technique. And the amazing thing about working with Katrina on Portals to Hell is that she was so seasoned that like I learned so much from her. And because like there is a technique to this. It's not just like, hey, who's here? Like it's, you know, there's a process. And that just kind of opened things up far more for me with experiences. You know, I've had things where like, you know, on command been like, hey, if something's here, open up the door. And the door opens, or an object moves, or I've had flashlights turn on command, or doing EVPs and something clear as day coming through. Not where it's like, oh, I think it said like, you know, hot dogs are great. Like, no, it's like you hear a name, you hear a voice that's not anyone in the room. So it's the only thing that I've never had happen is that I've never seen like a full bodied apparition, like clear as day, like, whoa, that's a go. Like I've seen shadow figures, I've seen, you know, stuff out of the corner of my eye, but never clear as day seen it. So I've always been kind of always holding out for it. Maybe something in that closet behind me will just head out.
Just jump out.
Right. And like, and the thing with it that I kind of really hit me with doing Night of Terror this season is like, there are things that happened on Night of Terror which completely changed my opinion, my and understanding of things. You know, the first episode with my mom, like, you know, I don't want to like give it away, but like some shit happened which is like nothing I could have ever imagined or expected, or even I never really believed in until until it happened in front of me. And it like has really changed. It honestly has changed me. You know, and I've been saying this, like, I don't know if it's hard to describe. It's like, I don't know if ghost hunting is helping or hurting. Like it really, like, because I listen, I was like the biggest, all that possession demon shit is bullshit, everyone's just faking, it's whatever. But I saw some shit which I'm like,
it freaked you out,
and it's real.
Yeah.
And like, I know it's like a lot of people might see this and go like, huh, this is a little whack, but like I can't put it in any other words than that. Like it's not fake.
Yeah. So do you think that would mean that you might stop doing that now, or you're undecided kind of?
I don't think I'll stop doing it. I think that I just have to, I think that there needs to be a different approach if I'm going to continue at the level that I was. Like I think I've been too lax with it. And like, and this is the way that I kind of chalk it up. It's like, you know, since man has had written language, there's been kind of tales of, you know, mystical creatures and beasts and this, that, and the other. And like over time, we've been like, okay, yeah, there's no dragons, there's no fire god, there's no lightning god, but we still keep writing and telling ghost stories. And there's still this, globally, with every faith, there is the good and the bad. And there is some, you know, understanding of, you know, for the sake of this conversation, we'll just call it demonic kind of powers. Mm-hmm. And there has to be something to that. Whether it's we're oversimplifying it and we're putting a too human of a lens on it, but I wholeheartedly believe that there is very good energies and there are very bad energies, and they are equal in, I think, in power and in kind of frequency.
Well, that's, I think, such a great way to end. It was such an honor speaking with you. I know that you've got Special Forces coming out too, so super excited to see everything that you do in the next two months, and we're just very happy to have you.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's been a great chat.